Hey guys, it is February the 2nd, 2025, and I hope everybody's been having a great weekend so far. Unfortunately, it is Sunday and getting kind of late, so weekend's almost over. But I had a good weekend, and I hope everybody else did too. I spent some time with my kids this weekend and just had a really good time with them. So it was a really nice weekend. But and of course, we got people out here shooting again today. I was hoping that they would stop. When I came out here originally, I've been trying to kill a little bit of time so they would quit because I was hoping that they would stop before it got dark, but obviously they're going to continue. So if you hear gunshots, it's just somebody down there shooting, and hopefully I don't get hit in the process while I'm making this video. But today I wanted to talk about something that I haven't talked about in a while, and I think the last time I did a video about this was, I think it was almost a year ago when I talked about this and made a full video on it. And as a matter of fact, I just went back the other day and looked at one of the I think the last video that I did discussing this, and I think that video is at like 260,000 views at this point or something like that. So it's been quite a while since I've done this, and there seems to be a good bit of interest into the amount of alcohol that I was drinking before my diagnosis. And, I've kind of hinted at it and talked about it a little bit as I'm discussing another video topic or something like that. But I haven't just really made a whole video discussing the amount that I used to drink, before I got sick and had to quit. And that's what I want to talk about today. So what I also did, which I think I did in that video back then, I know I've done it in one video that I've done at some point, but I actually brought some props out here today so that I can kind of demonstrate to you guys how much I really was drinking, right before I got sick, because it had gotten to the point where, I was drinking all day long, from the time that I woke up in the morning to the time I went to sleep. And my life pretty much started to crumble apart there towards the end. I've spoken about this, but I probably need to give a little bit of just a little backstory for any of you guys that are new here and, you don't know my whole story. I'm just going to kind of just give it to you in a nutshell really quick. But I started drinking from a very young age. I was a kid the first time that I ever drank, and I'm talking about 5 years old, the first time I ever had a beer. And, going on, I would drink here and there as a child. I would steal beer. I'd grab one of my dad's beers out of the refrigerator. If my parents had a bottle of wine or something on the counter, I would grab it and pour myself a glass. I was very interested in alcohol and what it was. But it wasn't until I became a teenager, I guess probably around about 12, 13 years old, until I really, really, really got drunk for the first time. And there they go again, shooting. But the first time that I really ever got drunk, I've spoken about this, but I remember the day. I remember what was going on. Matter of fact, it was at nighttime, and I was hanging out with this guy that was a heck of a lot older than me. I think he was 30 years old, and I was that age. Just shows you the kind of people I was hanging around with. Any person that's 30 that would hang around with somebody that was, 12, 13 years old already had problems to begin with. And it wasn't just me. There were other people there. And there were some older people that were, kind of in between his age and my age. But we were drinking Mad Dog 2020. And the guy, of course, that we were hanging around with, he was of age, so he could buy stuff. And I think I might have got him to buy it. I can't remember. I might have actually have stolen the bottle. I don't remember, because I did do that when I was a teenager, and I'm not proud of it, but I did. And, those Mad Dog 2020 bottles were easy to just slide down your pocket or something like that. But that's just what I did when I was a kid. I would do anything, in order to try to get drunk or high or whatever I was trying to accomplish. And, going in my teenage years, things really started to ramp up. I started smoking a lot of the green stuff. And then in high school, really started drinking beer really heavily. I knew a guy that was a bootlegger, And every weekend I would go over to his house on Friday, and it was $1 a beer. And he sold Bull Schlitz malt liquor and I think Budweiser. But I always bought the Bull Schlitz because, it was malt liquor and it had a higher proof. And that's just what I wanted to do. I wanted to get drunk. And I mean, even from a teenage years, I was already, looking at alcohol percentages and going, no, I'd rather have that because it's more bang for my buck. And every single weekend I went over there. Every weekend. I would go over there on Friday, and sometimes I would go over there on Sundays. But when I went, I bought like 20 beers. And for a teenager to buy that many beers on a Friday night, and I would drink them, and I usually would have a couple left for Saturday, and maybe I went over there and got some more, or maybe I just waited till Sunday, but I would drink the whole entire weekend. And, I was working in the restaurant industry from a really young age. I've been working since I've been able to work. And, in the restaurant industry, there's a lot of partying, stuff like that. So, every night when we get off work, we'd go party and drink and do other stuff. And I was really young when I met my wife. I was 19 years old, and we quickly moved in together. I think I was like 20 or 21 years old. I was 21 when we moved in together, and I bought our first house. My wife actually graduated from high school, and the day that she graduated from high school, she was moving in with me, or the next day. It was either that day or the next day. And like I said, my wife and I, moved in together really young, not knowing anything that we were doing. And, I continued to work in the restaurant industry. I was a kitchen manager at that period of time. I've pretty much been in management, since I was like 18 years old. I wasn't old enough to be a salaried manager, but I was an hourly manager, and stayed in management my whole restaurant career, which I did my whole entire life. I worked in the restaurant industry for 26 years. Did that through my 20s. And then I became a general manager at a restaurant. I was actually the youngest general manager in this restaurant chain. And the stress of that job, and especially at the age that I was, and everybody was older than me. I think I was like 24, 25 years old when I became a general manager. It was a lot to handle. And like I said, everybody was older than me, so here I am, this really young guy, and I've always looked really young too. I've never really looked my age. Like right now, I'm 45 years old, and I have people tell me all the time that I do not look 45. I think I do, but, other people do not. But, like I said, I just looked really young, and I'm trying to get people to listen to me. And, not only just that, but I just didn't really know how to approach management at that age. And, to be in charge of a whole restaurant, you got 60 servers, 10 to 15 hosts, 10 bartenders, 30 people working in the kitchen, 4 managers working underneath of you. There's a lot of people that I had working underneath of me, to be that young. But, I guess there's other people, there's a lot of people that do it. But it just stressed me out, and alcohol was my crutch that I leaned on. And when I had a very stressful day, basically every single day. And when I would come home from work, I would drink. It wasn't long of me being a general manager that I started drinking at work. It was all around me. I used to call up to the bartender and ask her to send me back an apple juice. And that meant, tequila. My old boss, before I had taken over, he was actually an older gentleman. And what ended up happening, which was another addition to this very stressful situation, I had a boss of mine that was in his mid-60s, and he decided that he didn't want to continue being the general manager. It was just too much for him, and he was a very bad alcoholic himself. He drank tequila in the office all day long. I could go on and on stories about him, but that's for another day. But he was alcoholic as well, and I looked up to him. And, I started drinking tequila a good bit because that's what he drank, and I thought, I'd be cool if I did what my boss did. So they knew, because my boss did the same thing. He'd call up to the bar and say, hey, send me an apple juice back here, and they'd send him a tequila to the back. So I would do the same thing, but I didn't really care for tequila all that much, especially straight back then. I would order vodka, and I'd call up there and I'd say, hey, send me something back here. And they say, what do you want? And I would either tell them clear or red. And if I said clear, it was a vodka and Sprite. And if I said red, it was going to be a Bloody Mary. And basically every single day they were sending me drinks to the office. So I was already drinking at work from a really young age. And, then going home and drinking after that. But at this point, I was pretty much just drinking beer for the most part. I would drink liquor at work here and there, or if I went out. But I still wasn't drinking liquor on a daily basis like that. Like I said, I would drink it at work, but I would have a couple here and there. Or I would drink beer. And I did drink a lot of beer, and there were a lot of occasions, too, where... and I hope that nobody that I used to work with watches these videos or has seen them. Because I used to go into the beer cooler, which is right by the office, and I'd stick like a beer to in my pocket, and I'd walk over to the office and then stick them back behind the computer monitor. And I would drink beer in the office. I'd pour it in a cup. And there were a lot of times, too, that I would stick beer in my pockets, and then I would climb up on the roof. There was a ladder that was right outside of the office. So, like, if you close the office door, the ladder was right there. And if you open the ladder door, it leaned up against the ladder. So I would climb up the ladder, get up on the roof, and I could close the latch to the roof so that nobody could come up there. And I'd sit up there and drink beer. And I used to often bring people up there with me. And then when we got done, we'd throw our beers off the roof into the dumpster if the lid was open, and nobody ever saw what we were doing. And this went on for a long time. Then I finally decided to leave that job and went on to another job, and that I was executive chef at that place. And I've left out a couple of other positions that I've worked at over the years, but the last place that I worked at was a private dining club, and I was the executive chef at that place. And another very, very stressful job. And it was a whole different can of worms that I was dealing with. The stress was a little bit different. I'm dealing with, $100, $150 plates, and, execution had to be 100%. I mean, people were paying high dollar, and they also had to pay to become a member or to be a member at this club, which was just a dining club. That's all it was. We didn't do anything else. There was like a couple of other amenities, like a croquet court and a pickleball court, but that's about it. And we were also a bed and breakfast. But we did a lot of weddings, a lot of parties, stuff like that. There's basically a wedding almost every single weekend, or we had some kind of big event. And there were often times that we would have a wedding plus a big party plus a la carte service. It was just a very stressful job. And I didn't have a lot of staff there. We just couldn't afford it. So I had to be very, very hands-on in that kitchen. And I would get really, really, really stressed out, super wore out. I mean, every day was, a 10 to 14, 16, 18-hour day. Sometimes I worked 24 hours up there. We had big events. It just depended. But at that point, when I got to be around like 30 to 32 years old, I really started getting deep into the alcohol, into liquor. And I was drinking vodka at this point. And there was a little stint where I drank tequila. But for the most part, towards the end of my drinking, for about a decade, a solid decade, I was drinking vodka. And I drank vodka every single day. Unless I switched up liquors for some odd reason, maybe somebody gave me a bottle. I would sometimes drink tequila. I would often switch out with gin. But that really wasn't my favorite thing to do. It was just really vodka was my choice. And I drank it every single day. And I drank a lot. At the beginning of that decade of me drinking vodka, I would say I was probably drinking like a third of a half of a gallon every single day. And that slowly progressed into me drinking a half of a half of a gallon over a period of time. And then towards the end of my drinking, I would say probably for about the last year of my drinking before I got, really ill, I was drinking a half a gallon of vodka every single day by myself. And there often was beer mixed into that equation. I drank those little shooters, the bigger, like 2-ounce or 3-ounce little bottles of Fireball. It's like a double shooter. They sold those in the liquor store that I used to go to. They were $1.99 a piece. And I would just grab a sleeve of them, or I would grab a couple each time. They also kept them in a little freezer box with the Jägermeister, so I would grab the cold ones. And that way, on my way home, because often I would be detoxing whenever I went to the liquor store to get my bottle, because I just couldn't keep any alcohol around the house. There were a lot of days, I woke up and I needed the hair of the dog, and there might have been a beer in the fridge or in my cooler, but there wouldn't be much liquor, and I needed it to get those shakes to go away. I mean, I would be violently ill, driving to the liquor store. And as soon as I walked out of the liquor store and got in my car, the first thing I did was crack that little red cap on that bottle and slam one of those little Fireball shooters. And that was before I even pulled out of the parking lot. As soon as I finished that one, I would throw it on the passenger seat and crack the second one. And I slammed that one as well. I would be three double shooters deep of Fireball before I would even get back to the house. My stomach would be burning because of that cinnamon whiskey in my gut. I just remember that burning feeling I would get. It would almost make me sick, but for some reason I really enjoyed drinking it. And then as soon as I got home, the first thing I did was pour myself my liquor drink. And I figured I would demonstrate for you guys and show you how much liquor that I drank when I would make my drinks. Now, the only clear cup that I could find was this Coca-Cola cup right here. We actually got this cup at Disney World. It was back in like the spring of 2023, and as soon as we got back from that trip to Disney World, I ended up in the hospital with pancreatitis. I started getting sick when we were on that trip, and then next thing you know, I was in Charleston again for 2 weeks. Another reason not to drink. I've had pancreatitis so many times, but here's my clear cup, and I would often, I drank out of the big tumbler, so those like stainless steel cups like this, I drank out of these. The big one though, like the 32-ounce Yeti, that's what I would drink out of, because I didn't want to keep going and mixing my drinks up. And I actually liked it when the ice melted a little bit in it. But I'm going to show you guys basically what my drink would look like, and just pretend this is a really big tumbler right here. So I would have my cup, and I always had to put ice in it. So I would put, about a little bit over a half of a cup, maybe. I wouldn't necessarily say 3/4 of a cup. I didn't like that much ice. A half a cup of ice is what I would do. And if you pretend that this is the liquor, I would take my cup. I'm trying to get this so you guys can see it. And I would fill it up all the way to there. All the way to there. It would be nothing but vodka, straight vodka. And then I've got this seltzer water here. We'll pretend this is my Sprite. I would take that, and then I would top it off just like that with Sprite. So there might have been 2 or 3 ounces of Sprite in my cup, and then I would stir it up with a spoon, and I would always throw a straw in there, and then I would start drinking. Why I had a straw in there, I don't know. I just like drinking with a straw. I didn't like to get that stuff on my mustache when I was drinking, but because I would just smell vodka, and you would think that I liked that smell like this, because I drank so much, but it would get in my mustache, and I smelled vodka the whole entire time. So I just used to use a straw all the time. But that would be my drink. A 32-ounce tumbler, halfway filled with ice, and then I would fill it all the way up. And to be quite honest with you guys, I got on a kick. I was drinking Svedka for quite some time. And if any of you guys are familiar with the Svedka bottle, there is a blue stripe that goes all the way around the bottle on the half gallon. And the first drink that I would make, I would pour that bottle into the cup. This is really bringing back some really strong memories thinking about this right now. Golly, I can almost taste it, smell it, just talking about this. But when I poured that bottle into the cup, it would go right below that blue stripe every time when I would make my first drink. Right below that blue stripe on the bottle. I don't know how much vodka that is, but it's a lot. It was like a quarter of the bottle would be my first drink. And then I would just start going heavy on it and just drink and drink and drink and drink until I passed out for the night. And it all depended on what time I would fall asleep. You know, on my days off, I was usually asleep by like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd be done. My wife would come home. You know, she'd get off work at 6 o'clock and then, you know, get home by 6:30, and she'd find me passed out asleep. You know, and often with dangerous stuff going on, I'd turn the oven on and left it going. There'd be food all over the counter. You know, I pulled stuff out because I was going to cook dinner and never got started on it. I often left doors unlocked, windows open. I can't tell you how many times I left the oven on. Or left the eye on the stove. Just, you know, ridiculous stuff. I started a bathtub and then would fall asleep, and the water would still be running. I've had water all over the floor in the bathroom. My wife would come home, wake me up, be like, "Are you serious? The bathroom's flooded." I've done stuff like that so many times, and you know, it's really depressing to go back and think about, because I was in such a sad place during that period of time. Just thinking back on those days, it really does bring up some emotions in me, because I was in such a bad place. I was so sad. I didn't know where to go. I was so lost. I wanted out so bad, and I had tried so many times, and I just could not claw my way out of it. I've talked about this so many times, but, you know, I'd get like a week. And the 2-week mark, maybe 2 or 3 times I ever got that far and that long. I would get to a week. I got that, you know, to a week a few times. And I always would start to feel better after that. And to be quite honest with you guys, I think for the most part, whenever I would get that amount of time under my belt, is because I had just gone through pancreatitis, and I felt like I had to stop drinking, because when I would stop drinking after that bout of pancreatitis, I would start feeling better all around. My mind started getting clearer. My stomach would stop hurting so bad. I didn't wake up and throw up every single day. I didn't have a headache every single day. I just felt better. And why I went back every single time is because I was completely addicted. I didn't think my life could function without alcohol. I thought everything was going to be super boring if I didn't have my alcohol, which is crazy to think, because, you know, if I wasn't drunk, I was asleep. You know, there were 3 things I did in life during that period of time: work, get drunk, and sleep, and that's it. I didn't do anything that I enjoyed anymore. I had basically given up on everything. My anxiety levels were so bad that I couldn't drive anywhere other than to work, and I barely even made it to work every single day. And then towards the end of my drinking, you know, I've talked about this, but I started my own business, and I ran that business for almost 2 years. You know, after leaving the job as a chef, and I was doing very well, but I screwed that up too. There were so many times I should have been on a job, but, you know, I would call the client and say, "I can't come today. I've got something's come up, or I'm sick," or I would just make up whatever, because I felt so hungover. Or I remember doing this so many days. You know, I would get all my stuff loaded up, get my trailer hooked up, all that stuff, and I would go to pull out. And then I would, you know, and I always had a beer on me. You know, if I'm going to be driving somewhere, I've got an open beer with me. I would get to the end of the driveway, I'm sitting there with that beer in my hand, and I would go, "You know what, I just want to sit here and drink today. I don't really feel like going to work." I would just turn around, come back to the house, call the client, and say, "I'm not going to be there today. I need to reschedule." And I would just sit around and drink the whole entire day. And then my wife would come home and be like, "So how much money did you make today?" And I would go, I didn't go. I wasn't feeling good this morning, and I can't tell you how many times that caused problems. But I just wanted to sit around and drink and lay in my bed, and that's what I would do. I would lay in the bed with a bottle of vodka in my hand, often the handle like that, and I would just be like that, drinking straight from the bottle all day long. I would set the bottle right beside my bed, and if I needed a drink, I just picked up the handle and would take a swig out of it and set it back down. And I would just lay there and watch TV all day. I barely even knew what was even going on. I would be so intoxicated laying in my bed. I wouldn't eat anything all day long. I never ate. And that's the crazy thing too, is that I weighed 250 pounds back then. All of that weight came from just alcohol, from the calories from the alcohol. And from the mixers that I used. I did not eat. I didn't want to eat. First of all, when I woke up in the morning, I had to throw up. I was too sick to eat anything. If I tried to put anything in my stomach, I would throw it right back up. So I would have to wait till later on in the day if I even wanted to, attempt to eat anything. And often I didn't even want to because I just wanted to have my empty stomach so I could get drunk. So I would, let's say I had to go to work that day. I would go all day long with nothing to eat. And I'm talking about hours, at least a 12-hour day. Get home. I mean, as soon as I got off, I'm drinking straight hard liquor with barely anything mixed in it on a straight up empty stomach. And I would drink like that the rest of the night. I filled my belly with booze, nothing but straight liquor. My stomach would hurt so bad from doing that. And it's no wonder that I ended up with pancreatitis and cirrhosis because of the way I was drinking, and I didn't eat at all. And I do think that plays a huge factor in the reason I got sick is because I never had food in my stomach at all. Never. I just drank. And I used to eat ibuprofen like it was candy. I didn't eat those little red ones. It had to be the liquid gels. I liked the Advil ones, but if we had off-brand, I would take those. But I would take 2 of those liquid gels every couple of hours, all day long, because my head always hurt, and my body ached. My feet would be killing me. I would have these pins and needles and burning fire in my feet and my legs. I had no idea what it was until I found out it was neuropathy, and I didn't realize that I had diabetes, which I think that I didn't know that my family, that diabetes was in my family. I just didn't know that. And it's one of those things we never discussed growing up. But I found out later on after my diagnosis, but I do think that, I probably was set up to be one. I probably could have avoided it. And, the way that I drank and the way that I ate and all that kind of stuff, I know that I probably caused my diabetes, which has caused me major problems. My vision is going bad, really bad, rapidly now. And my glasses didn't used to always be you can just see just like that. They didn't used to be that bad. And I just started wearing glasses. I got my first set of glasses right before I got my diagnosis. My vision just started getting really, really bad, and I didn't understand what was going on. Like I said, I started losing weight, and I told my wife, I said, I think I might have diabetes because I started losing weight rapidly. My vision started going really bad. And then I get sick and finally I got diabetes, and my vision has just steadily gotten worse and worse and worse over time. Every time I go get an eye exam, it's worse. And we're talking about less than 3 years of time. Now I think it was like March, right before that May. So, and I'm going on almost 3 years sobriety at this point now. So I've been wearing glasses for about 3 years. All this stuff has been going on for about 3 years now. And the thing is, it's been almost 3 years and I can still remember it like it was yesterday. I can still remember every aspect of it. I remember how much I drank. I remember the way it tastes. I remember everything. I remember how sad I was. I remember how sad my life was. I just remember those days so well. And it's one of the reasons I come on here and talk about this every single day is because I know if you're sitting here watching this right now and you're having that feeling like, I don't know how to get out of this, and You just don't know any way out. You've tried over and over and over again, and you can't do it, and you feel sick all the time, and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. The reason I come on here every single day, well, one of the reasons is because I want to let people know that it can be done, and that I was at that point, a half a gallon of vodka every single day, and I was able to get away from it. Was it easy? No. But I was able to do it. And I'll be, completely honest with you guys. At the very end of my drinking, at the very end, and when I first got sober, I didn't know what to do with myself for a very long time. I was lost. I was bored all the time. I just didn't know what to do. All that's changed since, but, I was so used to alcohol being such a fundamental part of my life and involved in every single aspect of my life that when I removed it, I didn't know what to do with myself anymore. I really didn't. I remember going to this trampoline park with my kids. It was like a month after I'd gotten sick. Well, a month after I'd gotten home from the hospital. I just remember walking around. My kids are having a good time. I remember just being so sad because I was so lost. I remember just sitting there. I just didn't know what to do with myself. My wife kept asking me, what's wrong with you? And I just said, nothing. I just don't feel good today. But I just really was lost. I didn't know what to do. I was so sad in a moment that I should have been really happy that I had the day with my kids. But, like I said, as time's gone on, all that's gone away. I can have a good time. I can have a good time without drinking. I can have a good time just spending time with my family. It doesn't have to involve alcohol anymore, which is something that I thought would never be possible, but it's absolutely possible. And like I've said over and over again, is getting sober easy? No, absolutely not. It's hard. It's uncomfortable. It's, when we're deep in our addiction, we attach every single aspect of our life to our drinking. We wake up in the morning, we start getting that feeling. Our heart starts beating a little bit faster. We know we're about to be able to have our first drink for the day. We get excited about it. We have that first drink. And that's it. That's basically the excitement for the day. You have that first drink, you catch that little initial buzz in the morning, and the rest of the day just kind of sucks, honestly. Because you think that buzz is going to be better than it really is. And then once you have that drink, catch that buzz, you're like, this isn't even what I thought it was going to be. And then what does it do? It makes you tired. You get indigestion. You get a headache. You just don't feel all that great. Especially if you got drunk the night before, and you're just trying to fix your hangover. That it never really feels all that good unless you haven't drank in a couple of weeks. And you're heading out on a Friday night to go hang out with a bunch of friends or something, that's the only time that ever really felt good for me. The rest of the time, it just felt like crap. And I kept telling myself every single day, today is the last day. I am not going to drink tomorrow. I'm going to drink as much as I want to today because tomorrow I'm not going to drink. And all I ever did was just drink, and then wake up the next morning and go right back to it. So guys, I hope this video helped in any way or form for any of you guys out there who are watching this. And like I said, if you are, thinking about getting sober and you just don't know how to do it, I promise you it is possible. But we got somebody here that's about to buy some pigs. We just keep having baby pigs. My wife's selling them, but somebody just showed up to buy some pigs. So I better hop off of here. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really do appreciate it. And I'll be back tomorrow. So until then, I will see y'all then. Love you guys so much. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.